Honey is the free browser extension that helps save you money when shopping online. It finds you coupon codes for all your favorite sites and applies them automatically at checkout, saving you time and money. If you want to help support the channel, install Honey by using the link in the description. I'm sure anyone watching this video right now has at least heard of, if not played, Among Us. It's been out since 2018, but has seen an absolute explosion in popularity for whatever reason. If you're one of the few people who have no idea what this game is, let me break it down real quick. You and up to 9 other people are astronauts, and you're all given tasks to do in each match. You'll walk from room to room and complete little minigame puzzles, and once everyone's tasks are done, you win. But here's the catch. Some of your crew members are actually imposters, whose goal it is to kill other crew members before your tasks are complete. If the imposters kill enough crew members before tasks are complete, imposters win. And if the tasks are complete before the imposters hit their murder quota, then the crew members win. People are able to report bodies and call meetings to chat with other players in the match, and that is where the real fun of Among Us, and the whole subject of this video, comes into play. Among Us, when playing as the imposter, is a stealth game at heart. And it takes stealth elements from several incredibly successful stealth game franchises, such as Hitman, the Batman Arkham series, and even Splinter Cell. I know what you're thinking. Look at these games in comparison to Among Us, they look nothing alike. But if you give me a few minutes of your time, I want to take a deeper look into each of these games and explain why Among Us is such a fantastic stealth game. First, let's take a look at Among Us and the elements it shares with the Hitman series, in particular the World of Assassination reboot series that started with Hitman 2016, followed up with Hitman 2 in 2018, and will be finishing off with Hitman 3 in 2021. In Hitman, you're given a sandbox environment with lots of little interactable elements in which you use those elements to create an assassination opportunity and take out your target without being spotted. Many of these elements are different improvised weapons scattered across the map, or distractions and roadblocks that you can set up to direct your targets to a specific location. But the main element in Hitman is the AI and the disguises, and how you can blend in with the crowds of NPCs using those elements. Now, let's look at how all of that compares to Among Us. In Among Us, players are provided with a sandbox environment in the form of each playable map, albeit on a smaller scale than the Hitman franchise. Each of these maps is filled with different tasks and opportunities for the imposter to sabotage, funneling other players into locations and directions that the imposter wants them to go, as well as vents for use as a traversal method. The main differentiating factor here is the other people you interact with. While in Hitman, the people littered on the map are all AI controlled, with predictable movement patterns, the same can't be said for Among Us, where every person on the map is a real, live person. This adds in an element of unpredictability, where an imposter will need to work harder and think smarter to outplay the other members of the game. It makes things even more thrilling as an imposter, feeling like you outsmarted your group of friends, or even just the randomly queued players online. And on the flip side, as a crew member, it feels really good to have outsmarted the imposter and vote them out. Playing against real people raises the stakes and creates tension-filled gameplay, set a bar above what would ever be possible with just AI. Now, let's see how Among Us compares to the Batman Arkham series, or more specifically, the Predator mode gameplay it's so famous for. In the Predator mode sections of the Batman Arkham games, players grapple, glide, and crawl around the environment, picking people off one by one, only breaking this flow when they're spotted by the enemy. Adam Millard has a far more in-depth video about this specific subject, and I highly encourage everyone to go watch that after you finish this one. It'll be linked in the description below. But the main point that Adam makes in his video is that in the Arkham games, they do stealth so well because they tap into the basics of what stealth is, how it influences people's decisions, and how fragile the balance is between being a predator or being prey. Among Us strikes this balance incredibly well, but it does so in an interesting way. Rather than getting spotted, instantly switching from predator to prey, and having to dodge gunfire like in the Arkham games, Among Us has imposters get spotted, turn from predator to prey, and then has them dodge the accusations of their fellow players. Where Batman can throw out a smoke bomb and grapple away from his enemies, a spotted imposter has to throw out a "lime is sus" and hope for the best. In both cases, players go from preying on others and having control of the situation to being hunted and needing to escape. And if imposters successfully lie their way into the next round, they go right back to being the predator, just like Batman successfully grappling away from enemies. That's the reason Among Us goes back to those stealth basics in much the same way as the Arkham franchise, and it's made all the better for it. Lastly, let's compare the Splinter Cell franchise to Among Us. With Splinter Cell 2020 pretty much out of the question for Ubisoft, and the only mention of a brand new Splinter Cell game happening being Splinter Cell VR, the only thing we really know about a new game in the franchise is that it will include the two stealth elements that have been with the franchise since day one: light and sound. In Splinter Cell, especially the older games in the series, players would be presented with a range of ways to move throughout the environment, whether that be crouching, running, climbing on pipes, split jumping, etc. Each of these movement options factored into the stealth puzzle, because they all had their own effect on the player's light and sound meters. As the name implies, these would show how visible the player is and how much noise they were making. Hardcore fans would often find pathways through each mission that essentially kept these meters at zero the entire time, resulting in a ghost playthrough. Similarly, Among Us uses light and sound as tools for the imposter to remain hidden during a match. When the game first starts, each player's line of sight is fairly wide and clearly shown. If an area is lit up, you can see anything in that area, and if it's dark, you can't see what's there. This works in tandem with the vents, which allow imposters to travel around the map unseen. This allows imposters to hide around corners to hide from crew members, as well as move quickly between an area that may be lit up with another player's line of sight to an area where there are no other players. This line of sight is also just the right size to keep things tense for the imposter, as they will always be wondering if they should take their opportunity to kill another player now, or wait out of fear that another player may be just down the hall and catch them in the act. Now, light is just half the equation here, so how does sound factor into gameplay in Among Us? While in Splinter Cell, players want to focus on making as little noise as possible, in Among Us, imposters will want to make noise, so as to blend in with the crew members. This goes for simply playing against random players online, as well as being in a Discord call with friends. Imposters will want to utilize the chat feature whenever possible, ensuring that they are heard by other players, allowing them to say things that may throw them off the trail. In a Discord call, imposters will want to keep talking with their friends as normal, taking care not to audibly react to successfully killing another player. Sound also plays a factor for the imposter in the way that their victim may vocalize who killed them, or how witnesses may make a convincing argument in the chat about why you're the imposter. And while the sounds other people make are under far less of the imposter's direct control, it's still an integral part of the experience. So that's Among Us as an imposter. A stealth game composed of some of the best elements from AAA giants like Hitman, the Batman Arkham franchise, and Splinter Cell. When you take a look at it from this perspective, it's no wonder why the game has such a huge fan base. The only question now is, why it took so long to have its time in the limelight. If you've made it to this point in the video, I hope you enjoyed, and maybe learned just a bit about social stealth, predator mode, and generally being sneaky.